Not everyone liked Lincoln's plan for Reconstruction. Members of Lincoln's own party didn't think that his plan went far enough, that it wasn't strict enough. And this group of people were known as the Radical Republicans, and it was led by Thaddeus Stevens, there, the picture on your left, and Charles Sumner, who you might remember from the Sumner-Brooks fight in the Senate. The beliefs of the Radical Republicans were that the Confederates committed crimes by enslaving African Americans. Also, the Confederates committed crimes by starting the Civil War and by seceding. The Radical Republicans advocate for full citizenship for African Americans, and they want to follow through on Sherman's promise of 40 acres and a mule for every African American man. They advocate for harsh punishment of the South for these crimes. The Radical Republicans in Congress helped pass the Wade-Davis Bill. And the Wade-Davis Bill says that a majority of pre-war voters in the South must swear an oath of loyalty to the Union before they can be represented in the government. Also demanded a guarantee of African American equality. Lincoln actually blocked this bill with a pocket veto, meaning that he just never signed it. He held on to it until Congress was no longer in session, and so it was not passed. The Radical Republicans and the President did agree on one thing. They both agreed to establish the Freedmen Bureau, and this was an organization that provided clothing, health care, and education for both black and white refugees in the South. Mostly, though, for freed African Americans. President Johnson, of course, replaced Lincoln after his assassination in 1865. He was born in Raleigh, North Carolina, actually went to UNC, and he advocated for the quick readmittance of southern states to the Union. He wanted to get the states back in to the Union as quickly as possible. Johnson's plan was even less strict than Lincoln's plan. He offered pardons to any Confederate swearing allegiance to the Union and to the Constitution. He did specify that each state had to ratify the 13th Amendment, and he supported states' rights. Okay, Lincoln was more of a federal rights, federal government type of guy. Johnson, on the other hand, supported states' rights, and he did not advocate for the equality of African Americans. Under Johnson's plan, most Confederate states were quickly readmitted to the Union, but problems continued. The black codes were established, and these were laws that limited the rights of African Americans in Southern society. It prevented freed slaves from owning any land, although it kept them working the land through institutions such as sharecropping, share tenancy, and tenant farming. Jobs were very limited for African Americans. They were pretty much confined to being either servants or farm laborers. And the law in the South stated that any African American without a job could be arrested and sent to work in a prison camp. And the government and citizens essentially used violence and intimidation to enforce the black codes. And you can see in the political cartoon on the right, the KKK working with the White League to make sure that African Americans are oppressed. Republicans refused to allow Southerners to sit in Congress. They also tried to force the South to treat African Americans equally. They passed legislation to help free slaves, but President Johnson vetoed each of these attempts by the government. And you can see again on the political cartoon there on the right, Johnson is kicking a box or a crate filled with African Americans seeking their freedom. Congress blamed violence and disobedience in the South on Johnson's lenient policies. They said that because he had these lenient policies, this was happening. 2/3 of the majority in Congress decided to override one of Johnson's vetoes, and this was the Civil Rights Act of 1866. Johnson vetoed it. 2/3 of congressmen overrode his veto, and this gave the federal government a guarantee of civil rights for African Americans and outlawed the black codes.